This is Napo from Gonda Legacy, and today we're going to talk about building a brand, not just a business. So we're going to talk about how to create a brand that attracts, connects, and converts. To me, branding matters, but I want to explain to you why overall branding matters. And I want you to understand that branding is not just a logo. It's really your business's reputation. We need to understand that people don't just buy products. They buy stories, values, emotions. So a strong brand builds trust, creates loyalty, and adds value to all of its consumers. So we need to remember that branding is the reason that people choose you over your competitors. So what is a brand? When we think about it, it's really how do people perceive your business? And yes, it does include the visuals, the messaging, but we also need to make sure we think about the customer experience and the reputation. Think of your brand as a promise. What do people expect when they deal with you or your brand? So a real quick exercise. What's one word do you want people to associate with your business or your brand? Think about that. So we have great examples of branding in action, right? So just do it. Everybody thinks Nike. You look at Apple, people think innovation, sleek, design, iPad, MacBook. You look at Chick-fil-A, people see that, they understand customer service. What is it that you want people to connect to your brand? Take that time and be intentional about it. And the way that we do that is really thinking about the brand psychology. We have to understand that people make emotional decisions first, and then they actually put some logic behind it. So we need to make sure we're tapping into the core human desires: belonging, transformation, security. How are you showing up in the customer's journey? It's not your story, it's their story. Think about it like as if they are Luke, the hero in the Star Wars story, and you're showing up as Yoda, right? The Master Jedi. How are you guiding them? How are you helping them achieve their mission? What emotional experience are you delivering to your consumers, right? Are you really thinking about that? Or are you just thinking about making a sale? So the elements of a strong brand, right? Once you really start to understand those desires from your consumers, is really making sure you have your purpose and mission laid out. You have your core values established. You think about your audience, but not just about your audience, but also your positioning, right? Are you a Gucci? Are you a Dollar General, right? Where do you show up in the market? Then also your visual identity, your tone. How are you going to communicate with your consumers and that customer experience? What does it feel like when they come into your store? Is it like the Apple store, right? Or is it the Walmart checkout line where, they checking themselves out, right? Totally different experiences. Then we get into the branding toolkit, right? This is the part where people usually connect with branding, but branding is a lot more than this. But here that we're talking about your logos, your color palette, your typography, right? Your brand style guide, right? And then you look at your messaging framework. The way that we do it here at Gonda Legacy is that we have questions that we ask, and then we take the time to develop your content mission. And then from there, we develop content briefs for each one of our clients that goes over your services, your audience, and how do you really want to speak to potential consumers. And then we use that to really connect that to your website, your social, and your holistic content strategy. So once you really have your toolkit baked, then it's really time to start building awareness of your brand, right? So it's great to have a brand, but now people need to know about it, right? So you want to get into the community, you want to get onto the social platforms where your audience spends time, right? Also, do not forget about email. Email still works. Partner with other businesses. Definitely work with influencers and other creators. Leverage your consumer base already, right? People want to know about your business and what other people have to say. So get your customers to do reviews, incentivize them to do referrals, right? And make it easy for people to recognize you in the marketplace. But there's definitely mistakes that people make once they get into branding, right? So definitely mixed signals. You want to make sure that you're consistent wherever you're showing up from a messaging and visual element standpoint. And also, please make sure that we don't go and copy whoever is making the most noise out there, because you don't want to get lost. You don't want to get people to confuse you for somebody else. You want to be unique and authentic. Another big thing to remember is that the branding doesn't stop at the sale. The sale is just a part of the customer journey, right? Because after that, we want the consumers to become advocates for our brand and for our company. The other piece is, let's not over design. Let's please make things simple so that people understand you quickly, can see what you're about, and then make the decision about whether they want to do business with you or not. So the way to help yourselves be successful about the branding process is to set up a roadmap for yourselves. Through the process, first, you want to start by clarifying your purpose and your mission, define your audience, really put together then your voice, your visuals, and then decide how and when you're going to show up consistently, for example, by creating a content calendar. And then also the feedback that you're going to need. What you want to do is please set up tools for analytics and your KPIs and metrics ahead of time, so that as you're working on your brand, you can see whether the work you're doing is actually bringing you results or not. So to bring it home, I want you to understand that branding is a long game, and it's really about connection and consistency. So please keep it simple, stay authentic, and be intentional about growing your brand. And remember, your brand is something that people should feel. Ask yourselves, what's one change you'll make today to improve your brand? Thank you.